I'm like genuinely nervous.
Why?
This episode is so important, and I like, when we're going through the show notes and we're writing stuff out, it's usually very fun and very like casual and laid back. I just feel so tense right now, just because we've done 5. This is going to be our 5th one. Like I feel this huge, almost sense of responsibility on this episode.
I did feel that when I was putting together the numbers. I was like, I got to make sure that I get all my, go through all the different places and like get all my numbers right, and, filter out the things that need to be filtered and don't filter out the things that shouldn't be filtered. And I did feel a little bit of like responsibility to get the numbers right. And I think I did. But as always, their numbers are kind of, their best effort.
Their best effort. I always worry so much that I forgot something, like, oh, I didn't check this or I didn't check that. Or I think we've done such a good job of like laying out all of the places we buy things that I'm pretty sure I've got it all covered now, because it's just so easy to go down the list on, where do we buy things. But like, if I did a one-off on one website somewhere one time, I may not have caught that. And that feel like, I don't know, I just feel bad about that, because I want to make sure that it's all inclusive. But I'm pretty sure it's right. I'm like 95% sure that we got everything. But, you're right. I just feel this responsibility to capture it all.
This really just shows how much we care that our listeners get the correct totals from our spending that they're never going to audit for their enjoyment.
That's called integrity.
That's right. That's what you come to the P&A podcast for.
Welcome to Pride and Accomplishment. My name is Jason.
And I'm Chris. This is episode 144.
Episode 144, our 5th annual spending recap.
We did it. 5 things. It feels like very legitimate now that it's the 5th annual. It's like, I don't know, somehow it's a round number. You can get excited about that. We need trophies or something. We need like a pin or badge or something.
Yeah, and we should. And whoever spent more that year gets to hold it in their house for the year.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I'll think about that. By 10, maybe we'll come up with something.
I thought it became real for me after 3 episodes. Like 1, great. 2, okay, you're establishing a line. Kind of, it's good. That was a math joke. 3 is like a pattern. Like 3, okay, now 3's, you're really there. And then 4 was a good accomplishment. But 5, that's, honorary even number. I mean, it's great.
Yes, we've made it 5 years. This is our 5th spending recap episode. If you haven't listened to the old ones, you might want to go back to listen to them. They are really pretty cool. They all follow a pretty similar format. So by the time you're done listening to this one, if you want to go back and listen to the old ones, if you haven't, you definitely should. Those episode numbers for you, just in case you want to go back, and we'll link them in the show notes of this episode as well, are 118, 92, 66, and 41.
I like talking about previous years, especially if you haven't heard them before, because each year, like obviously the numbers, we'll talk a little bit about historical numbers this year, comparing, 2023 to 2024. But each year we talk about what were we happy about buying and what, I mean, really what it gets down to is what did we regret spending money on? And those, those conversations kind of don't leak over from year to year. So they are good to go back and even for me, like I like going back and listening and learning from past me on, what did I regret? What did I want to change the next year?
Yeah, I think these are really good retrospectives for us. And I think if you go back and listen to those previous episodes, you can hear us learn and evolve as game purchasing people. I don't want to say gamers necessarily. It's really just people that buy games. It doesn't matter if we play them, because that's really what we're talking about is, did we buy anything that we didn't play? And I think now that we have our patented 2-hour rule, there's really no room for that one for the most part. So we'll see how good we are at that.
We do have some rules that we like to lay out ahead of time, just to say what we are and aren't kind of talking about, what we are and aren't recording. Just at a really quickly, I'll go through them all, and then maybe we can dig into a couple of how they impact our numbers. We don't necessarily record hardware like PC peripherals, joysticks, monitors, mice. I think I put a couple in here this year, but I would say if we were to buy new monitors, we're not necessarily recording it. It may get kind of thrown in if if we feel like it, but they're not necessarily on here. This rule is specifically for Jason. Donations and payments to Twitch or Patreon for like content creation or things like that. They are gaming related, but we don't include them here because they're not actually purchasing of games or the ability to play games. It's really just to watch them. Gaming merch, t-shirts and whatnot. I like to buy little pins or t-shirts or things to put on my shelf for games. We don't include them here because, again, it's not directly related to playing the game.
Unless they come as part of a collector's edition.
Unless it's part of buying the game itself. Yeah, that's true. We don't include non-game specific subscriptions like Discord Nitro.
Because it's gaming-ish. And like if you subscribe to like whatever, Twitch, whatever that thing is, Twitch Plus, Twitch, whatever.
Twitch Turbo,
yeah. Yeah, that thing. The overall Twitch one, like that wouldn't count because, I mean, see previous rule, but also this rule. Or like YouTube, YouTube Premium. Like, sure, you can watch a lot of gaming stuff on YouTube, but that's not this.
And then finally, Chris and I are gamers. A lot of the people around us are gamers. So we don't include gifts to other people. So if I purchased a game, which I did a lot of this year for someone else, we don't include that here. We only include games that we've purchased for ourselves.
Right. Yes.
Anything to add there, Chris? Any comments?
No, I think I interrupted you enough during those. I don't have any further comments. I think those are good exceptions.
They really haven't changed from year to year. Like sometimes we add in a little thing. Like sometimes we violate our own rules where we'll add in peripherals because we want to talk about them. But those have been pretty consistent year to year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I just want to mention the format that we're talking about here. What we do and what we have done is we go kind of store by store or like storefront by storefront. So we always start with Steam and go through different places that we buy games and buy stuff, and kind of tick down the list and talk about those. So our first category, like I said, is Steam. I guess, what do we want to do? We want to go with big numbers first and then talk about individual things?
Yeah, big numbers and then maybe highlights that contribute to that.
Okay. So my 2024 total on Steam was a very pleasing round number of $222.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice number.
222.
Mine was significantly lower, but we'll see why. Not significantly. It was lower, but we'll see. I'll make up for it later, I promise. Mine was only $151 on Steam. Some of the things that Chris and I share, I think we've talked about them on the show. Windblown was a big one, $25, depending on tax, pretty close there. Pal World was one we bought together. Is there anything else on here that's shared? I think
Factorio.
Everything else. Well, so that's the spoiler for later. I didn't buy Factorio on Steam.
Oh, that's right.
So we'll get to where I bought it later, but I did not buy Factorio on Steam, which is a little bit of a little bit of that difference between you and I. But you certainly spent more on Steam, and I think you have a really good reason as to why.
Absolutely. Yeah. I spent a lot more on Steam because I like to play things on my Steam Deck. I like to buy things that work on my Steam Deck, especially when I'm traveling, for work or for fun. Whenever I go on a trip, I usually buy like one new game, as we've talked about before. So I have almost twice as many distinct games as Jason does in terms of purchases. And they vary in cost. From expensive for like Riven, I bought the $40 Riven game, or Factorio, $35 for the expansion there, all the way down to I bought Celeste for $2. So it's all kind of a wide range there. But I had a total of, I think, 12 different games that I spent money on Steam, and I think, Jason, you had like, I don't know, 8.
Yeah, only 8. My top purchases. My top purchase this year was actually Path of Exile 2 near the end of the year. And then I bought Quern, but I didn't buy the, or you didn't buy Quern this year, but I bought Quern when it was on super sale for $6. I think you're right. I think your average purchase is probably much closer to that like $8 range, and mine's more up into the 20 to, mid 20s.
One number that I like to keep track of on my Steam buying stuff is my Dota 2 spend, because that's kind of like my guilty pleasure, free to play game, but buy cosmetics kind of thing. And this year they had this very interesting event called Crownfall that lasted almost the whole year. It was this big like node-based map thing where you got rewards and stuff. You could buy extra stuff for it. And I only did that one of the 4 seasons, or 3 or 4 seasons of it. And that was a total of $8 or $7. And then I bought 2 months of Dota Plus because I was playing Dota for a little while. And if I'm playing Dota, I need all the help I can get. So I pay the $4 for the month of Dota Plus. And so my total spending on Dota 2, which in the past has been like a couple $100, like a few years ago was probably $200 on Dota 2, was $15 this year.
That's really good. That's really good. I don't think you played Dota 2 this year as much as you have in past years, so I'm happy to see that the amount has reflected similarly. You will get to my free-to-play guilty pleasure later, and I have similar positive results to report.
Wow, we're doing good today.
Any regrets? Anything you didn't play on your list, Chris?
I think actually Celeste is probably the thing I was closest to not playing. It was $2. So there's kind of this like little sub clause to the 2 hour rule where like if the game is less than $5, you kind of don't have to follow the 2 hour rule. And I think that number fluctuates based on whatever we're trying to justify to ourselves. But in this case, I'll say $5. And I did play Celeste, I think, the day I bought it. So it did actually not violate the 2 hour rule. But I think I only played about 2 hours of it. I'd like to get back to it a little bit, but like it's one of those, like, I don't know, like Binding of Isaac, right? It's one of those hard like platformer games, and it's fine, but I didn't get into it like I thought I might.
Not nearly as much as Dead Cells. You really latched onto Dead Cells quickly.
I did. I played a whole bunch of Dead Cells really quick, and then I kind of got busy towards the end of the year, so I want to get back to Dead Cells at some point. Dead Cells was really fun, so yeah, I'll be back.
Good. I haven't played Quern. Never played it. Never opened it up. I bought it. It's $6. So depending on what time of the day it is, the $6 was below the rule, the sub clause
with exchange rates.
Yeah, sure, great. However you want to justify it. I don't necessarily regret buying it. I think it's good to have in my library to play someday. But I don't have any super regrets in Steam this year. I did play everything. Yeah, I played it all. I played everything except for Quern. So pretty good year for Steam.
Nice. Yeah.
I will say it's been, and we've talked about it on the show, it's been extremely difficult to hold back on the Steam sales this year. I mean, I think the last two that we've talked about, it has taken everything I have not to buy Outer Wilds every time it goes on sale. Every time it goes on sale. So this show has helped me a little bit to say, no, I do not want that reported on here. I don't want to have to say I bought it and never played it. So it's helped a little bit, but it's so hard to say no to some of those sales.
But the thing is, it keeps coming back, right? You say no every time and it keeps coming back, which proves the point of you don't have to do it on this sale. You could do it on the next sale.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. And I think in the long run,
and it gets lower.
It does. Well, I don't know that it's getting any lower, but at least not that particular game. But we say it here is because we're applying this rule overall, even if you buy things when they're not on sale, we are saving money. So, and I think that's been absolutely true this year with Steam. Like I think of all of the things that are on my list, only 3 of them were on sale. I mean, I think Windblown and Symphonia that I purchased were on their, like, we just released 10% off sale.
Right.
But I purchased I purchased more things on Steam at full price than I did on sale. So I take that for, kind of how it works with the 2 hour rule. I think overall, like, yes, am I spending more per game? Yeah, but that's good for the developer. Sure. That's good for the person that made it. And overall, I think I'm saving money. So there's a little bit of a caveat star asterisk on this year's totals because I messed up in our next category.
Yes, our next category is Humble Bundle. So that would be, Humble Choice and also any bundles or any other like games that you buy there using the discount you get from having a Humble Choice subscription. So we kind of have two categories. We have subscriptions and we have games.
Chris and I have been loyal subscribers to Humble Monthly and now Humble Choice when it transitioned. Which it's weird. It's still called Humble Choice, but you get all of the games every month now. It's no longer a choice. So they should go back to calling it Humble Monthly. But we have been loyal subscribers to that for 5-6 years now. Long time.
Long time.
Every year, we pay for it. We get the whole year. We buy a year at a time. But for the past 2 or 3 years, they've been doing a promotion where you can pay for the following year at a discount. So Chris sent me a message probably a month ago, beginning of December, and said, hey, next year's Humble Choice is on sale for the $100 instead of the $140 or $130 or whatever it actually comes out to normally. And I said, oh, cool. And then I never did it.
Yeah, I think the normal price is what, like $120 or something. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I went ahead and did it because I needed to, and I also always get a gift subscription for my brother. So I actually have like 2 different email addresses, and it's a whole thing. But I bought a gift for him, bought a gift for myself, and then redeemed it for myself. So it cost $99 for me, and I was surprised it wasn't $99.99. But I checked and double checked, and it was only $99 even. To get
interesting
Humble Choice for the year for next year.
I did not pay for it. I did not buy Humble Choice for the next year at all. Mine will renew in January, so I will get hit with that charge in the 2025 spending recap. So you'll see it there. It will all even out in the end, but just kind of remember this little asterisk when we're doing our totals that mine should be $100 higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With that Humble Choice subscription, we get 20% off of games, most games on Humble Choice. So I have transitioned a lot of my game purchasing from Steam to Humble.
Right, because you get Steam codes for them when you buy them on Humble.
Yeah, so there's really no difference. And it has, I mean, I think 2 years ago, when they didn't have that discount, our game purchases on Humble were probably next to nothing. Maybe a couple bundles here and there. But I don't know that we bought individual games. Now that discount is on their store, I'm buying all kinds of stuff. And my games total on Humble Bundle this year, not subscriptions, just games and bundles. There's one bundle that we both purchased, was $117. Which, if you go back and kind of look at the historical numbers, my Steam purchases used to be much closer to that $400, $300, $400. And, you know, it has come down into that $200 range, and my Humble game purchases have come up into that $100 range. So they're evening out by splitting the 2 storefronts.
My spending on Humble is $92 on games this year. So we had a couple things that were the same. That bundle you mentioned. But I think that was more than I usually do. And that's because of that 20% discount. So it is evening out, and I think that's fine. Like, I like getting a discount. I like getting discounts on things. The best part is when you get the Humble sale plus the 20% discount. So like Humble matches the Steam sales most of the time, and like then you can get the discount on top of that, so you get stuff even cheaper. Like for instance, I got Dave the Diver for $12, which I think is normally like $25 or something like that, on one of the sales, which was great. But yeah, I don't know what else we want to talk about with these. We both bought Helldivers too, both on Humble because we got that 20%.
Yeah, I bought the base version of Helldivers. We didn't talk about it, but I did buy the upgrade to Helldivers to the Democracy Edition or whatever it's called. I paid for the upgrade on Steam, so it's nice that you get that Steam code. This is where I purchased Factorio Space Age. So you paid $35 for Factorio Space Age. I got the discount, so I only paid $28 on Humble.
I had a good reason for that, though. I mean, it makes me look worse in this particular comparison, but I had Steam wallet money that was sitting there that could cover it. So I didn't spend like real dollars. That's the other thing I guess we should put in the rules is like, if you buy something with a gift card, that doesn't matter. We just put the value of the games. So if you had extra Steam money or whatever in your account, like I count that as dollars in the game purchasing side. Now, if it's like, you know, buying... You bought that gift card at some point. Exactly. At some point in the past. But I also didn't count the fact that I bought that gift card in the spending counts. You know what I mean? Like I didn't... Because I probably bought it on a discount at Sam's Club or something. Like, you know, I get it for $47 on a $50 gift card. Like my actual, like what it hits my credit card might be a little different, but we're going for value here. We're going for like what is the receipt from the store say that you spent?
Yeah.
So that's where, my $35, sure, but it was $35 of fake money.
I do have a regret in this category. A pretty big one, actually.
Really?
I bought Rail Route on Humble I love train games. I've seen you play it. I think you may have said you kind of like it.
Yeah, it's
I watched a lot of videos on it, and I was like, man, I should try this. I should play Rail Route. And I bought it for $20 on Humble, and I played it for like 2 hours, and I'm really not. I did play it. I did do it right away, but just not a game that I really cared for. And I think if I would have bought it on Steam, I would have done the 2-hour refund on it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that on Humble, at least as far as I know. So I didn't, and I haven't. So that's probably the one thing that came back to bite me a little bit. The other thing I'm noticing, Chris, and you tell me why it's missing, but you bought Balatro this year on Humble Bundle, and I don't have Balatro anywhere on my list. Did you gift that to me?
I think I might have gifted it to you. Possibly. No, I don't know. That's a good question. Because you do have Balatro. Like, you own it. Like, you have it in your library.
I own Balatro. I'm going to do some real-time follow-up right now and log into Humble Bundle to double-check that I did not buy Balatro. I totally bought Balatro, and it's not on this list. So guess what? I have to update all my numbers.
Uh-oh.
Good thing I checked, and it's nice that we compared. Okay, well, I'm glad we checked live, because that $12, like I said at the beginning, I feel a huge responsibility to report things correctly. I can't believe I scrolled right by it. Oh, well.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so that brings my total to $129 on Humble, which, again, it just proves more of the point. We bought Balatro on Humble because we got that 20% discount.
I think it was a 20% discount on top of the launch bonus, because I think it was, 15 or I don't know, whatever it was. But Balatro, great game, game of the year contender, but not winner.
You sound salty.
Very, very good purchase. No, it's fine. It's fine. Astrobot was a good one too.
Yeah.
I had one regret in my Humble Bundle category, which was the Devious Deck Builders regular Humble Bundle that I bought. I don't remember this game. It was a bunch of roguelike deck builder games that I got in a bundle. And as I recall, none of them really stuck out to me after having played them all, but like it was $20 for, I don't know, 6 or 7 roguelike deck builders. So I decided that was worth a try. And I think I played 2 or 3 of them and they were fine. Nothing as good as Balatro. So that was kind of a miss.
Yeah, that happens. I think I'm willing to take more of a chance on the bundles. The other bundle that you and I both purchased was the Future Game Show Discovery bundle. It had Ship of Fools and Entropy Center in it, which again, Entropy Center for me turned out to be a little bit of a dud. I was really excited about it when they first announced it, but it really didn't, I don't know, it didn't click with me like something like Portal would. Ship of Fools tended to be pretty fun. I thought that was fine. But I don't know. I don't remember any other games in that bundle. So it turned out to be okay. But when you're buying 5 or 6 or 7 games for $15, it really starts to make it easy to just try.
Yeah, no, I think you gotta, like, our goal here is not to be 100% efficient on buying good games. It's just really to account for what we did buy. And I would say that's a calculated risk. And I feel totally fine with that. Okay, next category.
Really boring category. Yeah.
Yeah. Microsoft Store. So this is where Game Pass comes from. This is where if you were to buy, like last year, I think I bought Sea of Thieves coins or something like that, DLC stuff and currency. That's where all of this would go. This year, both of us have a big fat 0 in the Microsoft Store column, row, whatever.
As a little bit of a spoiler, though, Chris, I don't know if you had this thought as you were putting things together, but our next category is MMOs, as just a little sneak peek. And WoW is one of those categories, which is now owned by Microsoft. So should we move it or should we? I mean, I think we should just keep it where it is. But, it's an interesting little tidbit that, since Microsoft's bought Activision Blizzard, that all of that money that we're about to report on WoW is going to Microsoft.
That's true. I would say we keep it separate because otherwise I would have a BattleNet category because like who you pay in PayPal or whatever is through BattleNet, not Microsoft Store. So that's really, this is more for who do I need to go log into and check when I'm looking for transactions. And in this case, it's Microsoft and it's $0.
There's a big caveat on this one this year. We have not been paying Microsoft for a long time because of what we did with Game Pass, where we signed up for a bunch of time at a very cheap rate, I think using Xbox Gold or whatever it was back in the day, and then upgraded to Game Pass Ultimate for $1. And I think we did like 3 years of it. The big caveat in all of this is you did that first, and then I did it like almost a year later.
Yep.
And that caused me to spend some monthly dollars on Xbox Game Pass. But I still have my subscription paid through August 8th, 2025.
Wow. That's really cool. I do kind of, I don't know, not regret, but I am sad about the timing of my expiration, which expired at like the end of November, like around Thanksgiving time this past year, because Indiana Jones came out like 2 weeks later, and I would have liked to have played some of that on Game Pass. But at this point, I've got other stuff going on, and it's probably for the best. I could just subscribe for a month or something, but I don't have time to play it right now. And I'll just at this point wait for it to come to PS5, because for me, that's a couch game. So
I was going to say, you want it on PS5 anyway.
It's fine. Yeah, that's good.
We do have a cheaper option now, though, and I think that's the one nice thing that to come out of this is, Game Pass Ultimate when we did all of this was $15 a month. Now I think it's $19.99 a month. But they've introduced that the PC game, the Xbox Game Pass for PC or whatever it's called now, is good enough for us and is actually honestly a really solid deal and has everything that we want except for maybe cloud gaming. It's only $12.99. So there's a lower tier now that I think is more appealing to me, at least, that I may consider at the end of my subscription. Maybe not permanently all the time on, but definitely like anytime I even remotely think about turning it on, it'll be one of those things that I just flip the switch on, pay for a month, and then, don't automatically renew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it's $11.99 for me. I don't know if you're hearing different prices, but it's $11.99 on their website.
Maybe I rounded up. Yeah. It's a good price.
Yeah, and you get the Riot games, like you get League of Legends stuff, and you get EA Play, medium level or whatever, which I actually would rather not have, because then I would not have to have the EA app on my computer, but whatever. I'm okay. Like right now, I'm okay not having the Game Pass subscription, because I bought all the things that I would otherwise play, like Sea of Thieves and stuff like that. I have outright, so I don't need a Game Pass subscription to play it. But stuff like Indiana Jones, where it's, that day one thing, and I want to, give it a try. If it's something I don't know if I want to buy, then I'm missing out on those. But I'll do what you're saying, where it's just, turn it on for a month or whatever. It also includes Call of Duty now, right? You get Call of Duty Black Ops 6 in Game Pass. So that's an option.
Which is something that we've wasted $40 on just because in the past.
More than 40, but yeah. Mm-hmm. If they put a WoW subscription, this is a little bit of a segue, but if they put a WoW subscription in Game Pass, it will become a permanently on subscription for me, I think.
I think so. And I wonder if they're factoring that in. And that is a great segue, because our next category is MMOs, the first of which being World of Warcraft. I think the value gets so high that I'm just like, I will just keep it on all the time. Because of all of the games it has, the cloud gaming capability, which, some of the handhelds are getting better and better at utilizing, plus a WoW subscription that both of us paid for at least 6 months of this year. We churned a little bit on the WoW subscription, but if all of it was bundled and packaged into one thing, the value proposition of a yearly Microsoft Xbox subscription just gets so high that you're just like, okay, well, I'll just pay for a whole year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They don't have annual pricing for this, right? There is no save a month if you buy a year kind of thing.
I don't think so, but I honestly have not looked in a very long time because I haven't needed to.
Fair.
Well, we're into WoW now, and spoiler alert for me, honestly, probably the biggest regret category for me this year. Not that I regret spending the money, because I don't. I did really enjoy WoW. What I will, and maybe regret is the wrong word, I think what happened for me is that I overhyped it, and I was so into kind of pre-season content and all of the things leading up to it. And I was so excited about getting into all of it. And it just didn't pan out for me again for the third time.
Yeah, I think there was some timing there too. It was just unfortunate timing.
There was, for sure. But there just always seems to be, I guess, I don't know. Every time WoW comes out, it seems to be unfortunate timing, at least for me. And I'm wondering if there's something bigger going on there that I'm never choosing to prioritize WoW. I really enjoyed the time I spent in WoW. However, I think what my price here is going to reflect is my intention to spend more time in WoW than I actually did.
Mm-hmm.
So I just do monthly subscriptions. I had a couple of months that came out to about $80 in just subscriptions. I did buy the War Within 20th Anniversary Collector's Edition, which I don't regret because it came with a really cool statue that sits on my shelf behind me when I work. That shows up in my work camera, so everyone gets to see it all the time, every day. So I really like that. But that was $180. It came with the Epic edition of the expansion, but also came with the statue and some other cool stuff. I don't regret that purchase. I like that kind of stuff. I like putting it on my shelf. But I also bought the Trading Post mailbox mount because it was on. When they put it on sale, I said, well, if I ever go back to playing WoW, I'm going to want this mount. And I spent $96.
Yeah, that's something that I have not purchased yet, that $90 mount, because I have been resisting. It is, as we record, on sale for another day and a half. So I still have the opportunity to buy it, and it is tempting. But also, I have seen people out in the world. I have played WoW while that mount has been out there, and I just haven't needed it because there's either somebody in your raid that has it, so that's easy enough to deal with, or you're in the city anyway and you can just go to the auction house. At least for me right now. But I'm also not a power leveling trading post master, whatever. So maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it's so tempting because I do want the utility of it because I love utility in games like this, but it's also so expensive.
I am such a, you'll hear me say it all the time. My girlfriend actually gets annoyed with how often I say it, but I am all for, well, I'm not sure I'm for them, but it's very hard for me to resist functional utility microtransactions that are very quality of life based. It's a little bit harder when you're already paying $15 a month. Like if something like Guild Wars 2 or Warframe released something like this, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Or Path of Exile, great example of something there. The game is free, but they charge for quality of life things. And those purchases are really, really easy for me because you're not paying for the game. So you have to pay for something. It's a little bit harder in World of Warcraft, but if I ever plan to come, which I know I do, I plan to come back for season 2. I plan to come back for the next expansion. So this purchase was one of those things that I'm just like, listen, I may not need it right now. I may not need it. Needs a very strong word, but it's just one of those quality of life things that the moment I say, oh man, I could really use an auction house right now, I'd be kicking myself for not buying this mount. So I did it.
Yeah, I know. And that's my thing is I wasn't playing actively. Since this thing has come out, I've only been really raiding. And that's a very streamlined use case, right? We go kind of between home city and raid basically. But doing open world content and buying stuff or selling stuff, more importantly, getting stuff out of your inventory by selling it on the auction house or mailing it to another character, there's just a lot of utility there. So now I'm talking myself into it, but I guess we've got a day and a half and you'll see a next year's spending episode if I have the resolve to not do it.
Well, and here's the other thing, and I'm going to try to sell you on it on this show, but the other mount that used to be able to do this, not available anymore. Can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And this mount came out for the 20th anniversary. So I don't think you're ever going to be able to get it ever again.
I mean, ever again until 2 years from now when they come up with some other good reason to do it. But sure.
They release a different one, sure. But I don't know. I'm not trying to sell you on it. The other thing is, if you ever play again, like the chance of someone having this in the game is just so high right now. Because anyone that is even remotely okay with spending $96 on a mount spent it. I remember the day it came out, you logged in and everyone in the town had them out, like just sitting around. It was so funny. So you'll have a much easier time getting an auction house than you used to. Than you used to. So I don't know. I don't want to sell you on it. I think you made the right call of not buying it when you did. You've got 2 days to decide, and you're like you said, we'll find out next year whether you did it or not.
Yeah. Right now, my WoW subscription is canceled or expiring. And we'll talk a little bit later about why. But like, I am not currently playing much, and it expires in, again, I think like 2 days. So if I were to buy this thing, it would be purely speculative of like coming back for the next expansion or the next patch or the next whatever, which is coming soon. So we'll see. I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay, we'll leave it a mystery.
So your total for WoW, where'd you land?
All in subscriptions, the mount and the anniversary edition came out to $356.
Wow. Okay. My WoW came in at $202 total, with about $112 of subscription and $90 of War Within Epic Edition. So pretty simple there, but it's mostly subs, or half subs, half game. Man, I really wish they'd put that in Game Pass. Like, I would pay, we've done this before, but I would pay probably like $20 a month, like for Game Pass plus WoW. Like, I think I would do it.
Yeah, no, Game Pass Ultimate. I would be a permanent subscriber to Game Pass Ultimate if they put a WoW subscription in there. And right now, we're talking about being high churn. Like, we're talking about only subscribing for, 3 months out of a year. It would instantly turn us into annual subscribers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, if anyone from Microsoft marketing or whatever is listening, put that in your spreadsheet.
I have some other MMOs to report on. Chris doesn't play any other MMOs, at least not currently. But they are surprisingly calm, conservative, which they haven't been in previous years. I really didn't connect with the Guild Wars 2 expansion this year, and apparently I'm the odd man out on that one, because everyone else is reporting that they loved it and it's great. I'm going to have to give it another try, but I did buy the Ultimate Edition of Janthier Wilds for Guild Wars 2 this year. That was $80. It came with gems. It came with 4,000 gems, which is the premium currency in Guild Wars 2. And I'm happy to report that for the first time in 3 years, I did not buy any additional gems. I made no premium currency purchase other than what came with the expansion. Wow. That has not happened in a very long time. So I'm at a flat $80 for Guild Wars 2 this year, which even though I didn't like the expansion, I'm very happy with that number. I think that is perfect for me. I think an expansion, even though I didn't like it, I'm happy I got it. I plan to go back and do the whole thing. I plan to do it all. The timing, when the time is right. So good purchase. Didn't pan out, but it's all good. I am proud of myself for not buying any other gems. What I am more proud of myself for, what Chris talks about his guilty pleasure in Dota 2. My guilty pleasure is Warframe. And for the past, who knows how long, many years, I have been spending on Warframe. Yes. I am happy to report that I have spent $0 on Warframe this year, but there is a very, very important reason as to why. Okay. I don't know what compelled the Digital Extremes team to do this, but the developers of Warframe have decided that all of their premium bundles, except for Prime Access, they are now offering to purchase with Platinum, the premium currency, instead of requiring you to actually make a payment. So previously they had this heirloom collection. And if you go back and listen to last year's episode, right at the end of the year on December 27th, I purchased an heirloom collection, which was like $90 or I don't remember, some high amount.
96. Yep.
You could not purchase that with Platinum. You had to spend real money. This year, they released another heirloom collection, But because of the backlash last year about how all of it worked, they said, okay, well, you can buy the Heirloom Collection this year, and it will come with Platinum. It will come with some premium currency, or you can pay for that bundle with Platinum you already have. And I happen to have an obscene amount of Platinum. So I didn't have to put any additional money in. I've been slowly burning away at my in-game premium currency, buying these bundles, playing the game. I've actually been playing a lot of Warframe lately with the Warframe 1999 expansion. But I haven't had to put any more money in, and it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. I've been spending the Platinum that I spent money on all these years ago, and I don't know what compelled them to make this change. Maybe they really are. You know, I always talk about how much I like their monetization model. This just goes to show another thing in that category. I have all this Platinum Platinum, this premium currency. I should be able to spend it, and they are now letting me spend it, which will drive me to spend more in the future, I'm sure. So it's been a really good experience at the end of the year with Warframe, and I am happy to report that the amount on this spreadsheet is $0.
Wow. Good job. I'm proud of you, because that's been a much bigger number in years past, similar to my Dota number. So good job.
Oh yeah. It's been as high as like $400 or $500 some years.
Well, look at us. We are growing. To be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with spending money on games you like. I mean, I do it on Dota. It's fine. Especially free-to-play games where you're like, I want these to continue to exist even if I'm not actively playing them. That's always my kind of thing for Dota. It's like, I will give you money because I think I like the format, I like the game, I like to play it sometimes, and I would like them not to get rid of it, and I'd like it to be, other people to play it and it to be continually developed. So not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just think in general, we are doing a good job of spending to where our time and value is going.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I regret not spending any money on Warframe this year a little bit for that reason, right? I do like to support Digital Extremes. I like what they make. I like the game. But I have spent a lot of money in the past, and I'm finally getting to use that. So, a little bit of a balance there. But you're right. I think some of the... I mean, I personally do this more in content creation, but you're right. Like, I like making sure that I'm giving money to things that I like to support, even if I'm not, actively playing them or participating in that. I haven't given any money to Epic Games, though.
Me either, actually. So those are both another big zero, just like Microsoft. But have you gotten any games on Epic this year?
I was going to say, but I have no qualms about taking their free games. So since we've spent no money this year, I did challenge Chris to count up the number of free games that we've received from Epic this year. If you're not in our Discord, this is a great reason to join it, because every time Epic posts a free game on their website, there is a bot that will post it in our Discord, discord.pnapodcast.com. We'll say it again at the end of the show. And that I follow that bot religiously. Every time it posts, I click on the link, I open it up, I claim the game, and I move on with my life. I don't mark the message as read. Scroll down and make sure that it's. I don't read the message until I can claim the game, and because of that, I have claimed 44 free games from Epic this year.
Oh my goodness, that is too many games. How many of those have you played?
None. 0.
I have claimed 7 games on Epic this year. A very, very humble, I'll even say, 7 games. But I would say that the games that I've claimed, I intend to at least consider playing at some point in the future.
Yeah, I don't care. I just claim it.
I will say the 7 games that I bought Orcs Must Die 3 for free. I mean, bought for free, redeemed, whatever. Orcs Must Die 3 just came out like a week ago. Dredge is a game that I've heard so much about. Yep. It's kind of like a Dave the Diver kind of thing. Got that one. Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. Those were all in December. And then Circus Electrique in May. Super Meat Boy Forever in February. Doors Paradox, I don't know what that is, in February. And Guardians of the Galaxy in January, and that was all of the games that I redeemed on Epic.
Yeah, those are all great games. I mean, those are all. I mean, I don't know about all like big expensive games, but there's a lot of value there. I got all of those plus I don't know 35 more
plus 37 other games.
So
that's fair. You don't have to read them all. It's okay.
I'm not going to, but yeah, no. I mean, really, and I think I've said this in the past. particularly December. But if you're just looking to get into PC gaming and looking to it, like even if you're looking to get into it in the future and you don't have a PC yet, start claiming these games, because I think I have a library in Epic Games of like over 200 games that I have claimed over time. I've never played any of them because I have a big library on Steam, so I don't need to play them. But if I was looking for like a really cheap way to get into PC gaming, and I just wanted to play some stuff and I wanted to start, and I'm starting from nothing, claiming these games is a great way to go. The other thing, we don't have it recorded here, but Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, they give away games on Twitch gaming like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Just so many games there. And they redeemed your Epic Games or to some other sites. But again, just we're not spending any money on this, but it is a great way to establish a really, really robust library.
Yeah. The only downside to it is you have to play them on the Epic Games Store. So depending on how you feel about that, you got to do that. And it doesn't play on Steam Deck nicely. I think there's a way to make it work, but it's really kind of like Windows only. Doesn't play on a Steam Deck, but you can play it on like a Legion Go or some other Windows-based handheld thing if you have one. Neither of us do, but I guess you could.
That's true.
All right. I think that's it for PC. I think that's we've gotten all of the storefronts and PC games. Maybe next year we can add in the free game count from Amazon. Although I have no idea how to get that list, so maybe not.
I have no idea how to get that list. Yeah,
but the next. Oh.
Mine's well over 20 on it.
Wow. I think I probably have like 5 or 10, but most of those either redeem on Steam or they redeem on Epic. And if they're on Epic, I've forgotten about them already. So the last thing we have in the kind of software game world is console games. Because, we both have a PS5 and a Switch, because all you need is a PS5, a Switch, and a PC to play all of the games. So we both have all of those things. And this year, we had a pretty low count, I think. My total on PS5 was $70, which is way low for me compared to last year.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see it that low. I guess you didn't buy anything this year. You did have a pretty high number last year, but I was surprised to see the number this low on PS5 this year.
Well, the thing is, there haven't been that many games that came out this year that I wanted to play, and the one that did, which was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I pre-purchased last year. I pre-ordered the thing with anyway, it was like a pack with the first and second game, and it was for $70 or $80 or something. So I didn't have to buy that this year, but I did get that new game this year.
That's true. You did have a pre-order last year.
But the game I did buy was Astrobot for $60 and the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster upgrade for $10, because they did a PS5 remake for Horizon Zero Dawn. It's not really a remake, but it's an upgrade, and it was only $10. So I was like, well, yes, I would like all of the voice actors to have proper lip sync, please, if I ever play this game again.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable price for that.
That game was so good the first time I played. I mean, it's a kind of reverse 2-hour rule, but like I played so much of that game and finished it that like if I ever go back to it to platinum it or something, I want it to look good.
Okay, well, with that endorsement, I should probably play it. So
it's very good.
I also bought Astrobot, but I spent $75 on Astrobot because I got the digital edition, the digital deluxe whatever edition. I have no idea what that gave me, but I'm happy I spent the money.
What'd you get for that?
I don't know. But this is one of those cases. We just talked about it. This is one of those cases that I'm happy to support that developer, with a little extra cash. There's always this other category that Chris has to talk about that I don't have to talk about.
That would be the Nintendo Switch, which I spent $120 on this year to buy 2 game vouchers, one of which I've spent and one of which I haven't, and $20 worth of Nintendo Switch Online subscription, whatever, which, as I've mentioned in the past, is low enough that it flies under the radar and also is the reason that you can buy those vouchers. So I continue to do it to pay essentially $60 a game instead of $70 a game for brand new Nintendo games as they come out.
Oh yeah, I guess it does come out to $60 a game with that $20.
I mean, you also get like the Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Game Boy collections or whatever of legacy games. So that's kind of nice if you want to play those things. But like, I was kind of looking at the numbers here. I was like, wait, I spent $120 and I'm going to get basically 2 games out of it. That makes $60 a game.
Still a discount.
So maybe it's not as much of a deal as I thought, but it's still a discount. Yeah. What did you spend on the Switch this year, Jason?
$0. Zero.
I think we had a note last year that you have never, ever spent any dollars on the Switch games. So good job.
I think that's true. It must be true that I have always gotten my games as gifts, and I've never purchased them for myself because I do have Switch games. I do.
That'd be really funny if you just had a Switch with no games.
I have a Switch. I have games for it, but I don't have any recorded purchases ever. So I don't know where that came from. But yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't touch the Switch this year. I touched my Steam Deck more than I touched my Switch. So, and I don't need anything new for it. So it's all good. I almost bought Mario Wonder. I think last year or the year before.
Yeah, I got Mario Wonder and Super Mario RPG and the Switch OLED last year, which were all great purchases. But this year, I just got Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which we talked about before. I was not super impressed about. Maybe I'll go back to it and maybe it'll get better, but And then I have one voucher that's going to get redeemed for something next year, I guess, because I think it's only good for a year. So I got to find something. Okay,
that closes out the software games subtotal here. I think for me, I'm not surprised by the number. I totaled it up to $791 for all of my games and software and everything we just talked about for the year, which is lower than any other recorded year so far. I am down from my previous lowest year last year at $951. So on the decline. I think that is reflective of how much time I put into video games this year. It has been a particularly busy year for me. I am continuing, and I think we mentioned this last year, continuing to focus in on the games that I like and really not. I might, the breadth of games that I'm playing is not nearly as wide as it used to be. But I don't think I'm spending a significantly less number of hours. I am spending less hours, but those hours are going into games that I know I like and I know that I really want to play. Warframe is really high on that list. When we played Pal World, it was all we played for a month, right? So it's much more focused time.
Yeah, I think, Factorio also, we spent like 2 months straight playing Factorio between the beginning and the end of the year, which is a great value in terms of dollars per hour of game. So that's been good. My total is $805 for this year, which means we are like $15 apart, which is pretty amazing. That's also a record low for me. Like that's a record low since we've been doing this for games by a pretty wide margin for me. Last year I was at like $1,100 and you were at like $900. So it's a less of a drop for you, but it's like $300 less for me, which is pretty significant, surprising to me, I guess I'll say. It makes sense for all the reasons you said. And just in general, thinking about like, I didn't play that many different games, but the games I did play, I played a lot of. So it makes some sense in that regard. But yeah, I guess it's a low year for buying of games for us.
Yeah. I mean, so you have to remember that we did start this 5 years ago. What happened 5 years ago? We were locked in our houses.
True.
And even the year after. So if you look at these numbers, like I had my drop off last year. I went from, in 2022, I had like $1,500 in games and software. And in 2023, I went down to $951. So that drop off, it kind of happened. We're spending our money on other things. We're both, we were both able to travel a little bit, go back on cruises again, which, Chris and I both love. But I'm not surprised. I'm a little disappointed. I think I have mentioned this on maybe in passing on a previous episode. This is something I do for fun, right? And the fact that I'm not able to spend as much time gaming that I used to be is, I don't know, not sad, but just I'm being very reflective about it in that, like, I'm not spending as much time doing a pastime that I've had since I was, I don't know, 15 years old, 12 years old, when I really, really got into PC gaming. So it's been an interesting journey, particularly, to see in the numbers, but also in the hours spent and the hours played, on how things are changing. So take that as a positive note, I guess.
Wistfulness.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So we talked about software a bunch. Now we should talk a little bit about hardware. Last year, this was a huge category for me because if you remember, I bought a 4090 at the beginning of the year. And so in 2023, so my cost was way, way up. But this year, I did not spend anything on PC hardware, like components or like parts of towers or anything that goes inside of the gaming PC. I did not buy any of that this year.
I didn't either.
Uh-huh.
However, it took everything I have. I had probably on 3 or 4 separate occasions had a custom built PC in my cart, priced out with the discount codes applied, the shipping address plugged in. On the page were all with credit card typed on the page that I just had to push the submit order button.
But
Never pulled the trigger on it. I never did it. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the new, 5000 series graphics cards coming out here soon.
Next
I don't
week.
know. Next week, yeah. I don't know if it was that I thought the prices were going to change a little bit. I don't know if it wasn't quite a good enough deal. I don't know if it was, in the back of my mind saying you should buy a fridge instead. I don't know what it was that prevented me from clicking that button, but I was so close to doing it multiple times, and you would have seen a significantly different number here. And I would have bought the whole PC. I think last year you bought a new GPU and maybe a part or two. You are much better about upgrading certain parts of your PC. I am much more of a buy a whole new thing. I was the whole 64 gigabytes of RAM with the 4090 and the whole thing. I was the new motherboard, whatever. So it would have been $3,000, $4,000 number here, potentially, depending on which, instance you're talking about me almost submitting the order. But I didn't. So it's $0. And I don't expect that next year.
yeah, the willpower is definitely ramping down. Every time that we talked that you were like hovering over this buy button, you were like, and I'm sure I just waiting for the message at some point someday where it's just going to be like, I bought a computer. I was like, oh, okay. Not unexpected. So yeah. I look forward to that at some point in 2025.
It's coming. I don't know when. I don't know what the trigger is going to be. It's coming.
Yeah.
I did buy some other hardware though. So the other gaming hardware. I think we talked about it on the show. I bought a Stream Deck Plus this year.
Oh yeah,
cool little
Still
device
a little jealous.
that
thing's cool.
sits in front of me. I use it for audio stuff more than the actual Stream Deck buttons. I like to mute and change. I am finding myself that I am balancing between like browser and games and voice chat more regularly, like more to suit what I actually want, now that it's kind of visually in front of me and easy to see and get to. So I do like it. I don't use the buttons at all ever. I need to get better at that. I think it's because it's such a far reach for my, and it's not far, but it's a reach for my hands, to go hit the button, and I have to look to see what I'm going to hit. Whereas on my keyboard, I don't, right? You know where the keys are. So it's been a little bit of a shift there that I haven't really done yet. But I also bought a controller. I bought a new, my old Xbox Elite Series 2 controller broke, so I bought a new one. Both of those things together is a pretty penny of $328. So I bought some stuff.
Wow. Yeah. Do you find that the Elite controller, like, I think that's one of those known issues, right? Where it doesn't really last, like, for as expensive as it is. Is that your experience?
Yeah. I would have expected it to last a little longer. I'm not a very heavy user of my controller. Like I pull it out when a game demands it. But yeah, one day I walked in and it wouldn't turn on. Plug in, nothing. Like I plugged it in, wouldn't turn on. Tried remote, it wouldn't turn on. I would not have expected that for something that costs $140. But I have not found a better controller, so I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah. I'm still rocking the old Xbox, like, regular controller, just like an Xbox Series X or whatever controller. It gets the job done. I don't need it for much, so it works. My controller that I play on the most is the Steam Deck, so I'm not using my Xbox controller much lately.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the weight of the Elite one. I like the feel of the buttons a little better. I think it sits better in my hands.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I want one, but I can't justify it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's the only real thing only peripheral I really bought this year.
I bought a couple of little things. I had really deep dive in my Amazon history to find these, but I bought a slim case for the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck comes with a case, but it's kind of bulky. So I got one that's basically the size of the Steam Deck. Essentially, it just covers the screen and the buttons. Essentially, I bought that for $30 on Amazon. And then I also bought some new like ear pads for my PS5 headphones. So like I have the Sony Gold wireless headset, whatever. And the ear cups started to do that thing where they flake off, and it just makes the little black things on your ears. And I don't want that. So I bought some like cooling gel foam, whatever ear cup things for $20. So my total on hardware like this is $50.
Yeah. That's nice that you could replace them. I remember
it is. Not have to replace the whole headset.
Yeah. That's slim Steam Deck case. So it comes with a case, right? When you buy a Steam Deck, it is pretty big. I'll give you that. But I do like that you can put the charging cable with it. Does this case, I assume you can't put the charging cable with? And like, would this be what you take when you just go somewhere for 2 hours, or what was the purpose of the case?
It was mostly because I had gone on several trips with the Steam Deck in the case and in its case that it came with. And it's just huge in my backpack. And I don't need to carry the charging brick for the Steam Deck in with the Steam Deck because the Steam Deck charging brick, oh my gosh, this is such a tongue tie. The Steam Deck charging brick only has one USB-C thing for charging the Steam Deck, and I would rather have like a multi-USB-C thing if I'm going to bother. So I have a like 100-watt, USB-C brick thing that I'll use to charge my phone and my Steam Deck and my iPad or whatever. Whatever. If I'm going on like kind of a longer trip, I want something that's going to be, the hotels don't always have the most copious plug situation, so I want to have kind of more plug options. So I get those multi bricks, and so I don't need the Steam Deck brick. So I don't care if I can't store it underneath. And the Steam Deck case was just big. It also was like, if I wanted to take the Steam Deck and the Switch somewhere, which I haven't done yet, but it could happen. The Steam Deck and the Switch together now are probably the same size as the existing Steam Deck case was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, or something like that. I mean, it's this, the Switch is really slim. Like if you pick up a Switch and pick up a Steam Deck, like the Switch is tiny. Also, this case that I got for the Steam Deck holds my Switch with the Hori split plat on it, like the one with the bigger joysticks and stuff. So it actually is about the size of a Steam Deck. So that's kind of like a multi-useful case as well. So I don't know. Did I need it? Maybe not. But like it was something that it helped me to slim down my bag a little bit on some of those trips where you're like shoving your bag underneath an airplane seat and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed how big that case is. I might have to. I don't know. I don't use the Steam Deck enough, but I wonder if I had a slimmer case, if I would take it more places.
I mean, it's certainly not like pocketable. Like it's still too big for that.
No, I know it's still
because the Steam Deck is still big, but like it's definitely.
But that case is massive. I mean, it's like lunchbox size. It's big.
Exactly, and I wanted something that would be a little bit more not discreet, but something that was a little bit more reasonable for what it was.
I have two other things on my list for hardware that I am not counting in my total, but I felt compelled to share with listeners. I did talk about, I think on a previous episode, that I got an OLED TV this year. Chris finally converted me, and there was a great deal on Black Friday on an OLED TV. I will say it is beautiful. I love it. I watched the Ohio State game, or the Ohio State Oregon game on it. So hopefully that reference doesn't come back to bite me later. But it was so pretty. I loved having it. I have not set up any gaming related stuff on it yet. It was not purchased as a gaming TV. It will be used at some point for the PS5 and maybe the Switch, but it was not primarily a gaming purchase. So I'm not going to include it on the total because while it will be used in some of those capacities, that's not the reason we bought it. But however, I also got a MetaQuest 3 for Christmas.
Oh.
Which I would say probably is primarily a gaming device.
Yeah.
Not why I was interested in getting one, but it's probably what it's going to end up being is a gaming device. I would not have purchased this for myself. I put it on my Christmas list. I was interested in getting one. I have not had a VR headset since the Valve, the HTC Vive.
Oh yeah,
the original
Vive.
HTC Vive. I have not had one, and the MetaQuest 3, just for fun fact, has a like a DPI or a what is it
pixels per degree, PPD.
Pixels per degree, yeah. 2.5 times higher than the original Valve or the HTC Vive.
Wow.
It is really good. You really can't see. It's not quite as good as the Apple Vision Pro, but it is very good. It's very, very good. And the pass through, honestly, pretty good. So very, very solid device. I wouldn't have purchased it for myself. It would have been $500. So I'm not going to include it because I did get it as a gift. But it is a gaming device that I'm playing Beat Saber on it again. So that's nice. But I was interested in it, and this is a little tidbit, a little side, because they recently added the Windows 11 pass-through mode where you can look at your keyboard and you can use 3 monitors on the MetaQuest 3 as if it was a computer screen in front of you, or 3 computer screens in front of you, which is very similar to what Apple does with their MacBooks. So I was very interested in trying that feature, and maybe we'll talk about it on a future episode. But they added that for the MetaQuest 3, and that combined with wanting a VR headset again, I asked for it for Christmas.
Nice. I'll be interested to see, how well that works out for you. See, what your experience with that is, because I am always like, a hair's breadth away from a VR headset and a 3D printer. So
yeah.
I will just live vicariously through your experience on this one, I think. The only thing I want a VR headset for is to play Beat Saber, and that's just not worth any real amount of money. Like, if I could get like a $50 headset that played Beat Saber with some hand controllers, like, sure, fine. But that's not going to happen, and it's fine. So maybe someday. They
are coming down in price. They're going up in quality. And I will say, I remember how much of a pain in the neck it was to move around the HTC Vive, because you had the base stations and it was just a lot, and it was all cabled and everything. MetaQuest 3, man, you throw in a bag. Like, it's not small by any stretch of imagination, but like, it's much easier to move around. It is. Mm-hmm. It is so, like, I could bring it to when I came and saw you, just in my bag.
All right. So hardware totals, subtotals, whatever you want to call them. Mine is $50 as mentioned, and yours was
$328 just for the controller in the Stream Deck.
Nice. Okay. I think that brings us to the finale.
Wow, I am just now seeing how close last year's and this year's numbers are for me. For reference, last year, 2023, I had my total spend was $1,113. This year, after that Balatro correction, my total is $1,119.
Wow, $6 more this year.
Very consistent.
Huh. My last year is totally messed up because I bought that GPU and other handhelds and stuff. My last year total was like $4,400. But this year, for the first time ever for either of us, my total is $855.
Less than 1,000. Wow.
Less than 1,000. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the first time. So I was very economical this year in my gaming purchases. Like you said, not necessarily something to be like extremely proud of, but just kind of a fun fact.
Your gaming, maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like your gaming landscape is changing a lot too. I mean, you used to spend a lot more time on the PS5. You used to spend a lot more time on the Switch, maybe. I feel like you're spending, and again, maybe I'm wrong, I feel like you're spending a lot more time on the Steam Deck, and you can get so many games for so cheap on the Steam Deck.
Yes, exactly. It's part of what you said, and it's part of the fact that they just haven't come out with PS5 games that I've wanted to play this year at all. And kind of likewise with Nintendo, they've come out with a couple of games that have been kind of intriguing, but really all of the games, I bought like 7 Switch games last year, and I bought 1 this year. It's just the games in 2024, I think there just haven't been as many like big blockbuster new games, especially on the console side. And maybe some of that's to do with the strikes of the writers or whatever, or the actors rather. And like, I don't know if that really affected games as much, but like it seemed like there was a lot of stuff kind of coming out of the pandemic, and then there was this big push, and now there's kind of this lull. We're kind of mid-cycle on the console generations. Everybody's kind of waiting for the Switch 2 to come out. You know, it's a weird time. I think, you know, gaming has these cycles, but like, it's just a time where there's not a ton of like brand new, knock your socks off amazing games. And the one that did come out, Astrobot, I bought it and I played it and I almost platinumed it. Like, it was great. So I think that's not to say that like I'm not playing PS5. I mean, I'm not, but that's kind of because there's not as much to play.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if this year is factually any different. I would say this year felt to me like there were a lot more flops than there have been in the past. And again, I don't know if that's because of you know, things that are happening in the industry with you know, just the talent drain of all of the layoffs, or if it has to do with strikes, or if it has to do with you know, we're coming out of, like, we're kind of past the COVID release, like the everything that came out that was being developed during that time and get delayed. So we're kind of in the next round of stuff, and the quality has just gone down. Again, I don't know what it is, but I would say the perception is that this year for me, even the blockbuster games that did come out that I was really excited about, didn't maybe quite land that where they should have. You know, Star Wars Outlaws is the one that comes to mind most prominently for me, where I was just like, man, that was supposed to be a big game in 2025. And neither of us touched it. Like, neither of us even talked about it. So I don't know where that lands for me so much. I'm still working on a lot of a backlog from previous years. The things that we don't talk about this are things that we previously bought that we played this year. I played some God of War finally. You know, I got through some of that this year. I got through, again, some really old Warframe content. You know, we played a lot of WoW this year, and not everything we did was brand new content. I mean, a lot of the time Chris and I spent this year on Factorio was playing the original Factorio that came out, 10 years ago, 6 years ago, in preparation for the new Factorio. But that, you know, that doesn't get reflected in the dollar amount. So you're right. It was a very interesting year. It was different. And it's very nice to do this retrospective to look back at how it all wrapped up. What are your expectations for 2025?
That's a good question. Well, I have a couple of giant question marks in the hardware camp that I am eagerly waiting for. So I think in 2025, we're almost surely, definitely this time, going to get an announcement about the Switch 2, right? It's got to happen at some point.
The leaks are so prominent right now. It's definitely happening. The big question mark is, are you getting an OLED?
Well, if it comes in OLED, I will get it. If it doesn't come in OLED, I don't know if I'm going to buy it like day one, year one, whatever. Like, it depends on the game story, I guess. Like, if they come out with like a brand new, you know, Tears of the Kingdom Plus or whatever, you know, sequel, like the next big open world Zelda game, or like Mario Kart 9, or, you know, something like that, big Mario platformer game on something on the Switch, like that would be the kind of stuff that would drive me to it. But even that, if it doesn't come in OLED, I don't know if I want to buy it day one. Yeah, I hear that. Because I know it will come in OLED. That's the thing, is like, if OLED was off the table, if they said we're never making an OLED Switch 2, then fine, I'll buy the Switch 2. But like, they are going to make an OLED Switch 2 if they don't come out with one on launch, and they're going to charge an additional, you know, $100 on top of whatever the cost of the thing is. And I'm going to be in the situation where I was with the Switch 1, where I end up buying an OLED Switch 2 after having bought the original one. So I'm not going to do that again. I'm expecting a Switch 2 announcement in the next 2 months. Yes, I think March would be where I would put it, but maybe 2 months. Yeah. So we'll see. I think we'll be hearing about that on the show
hopefully very soon.
Yes, hopefully. The other hardware piece that I'm looking forward to is a Steam Deck refresh if they make one. I think that one would be a day one for me because I think Valve would just go ahead and either make them all OLED or make OLED an option from day one because they're not in the game of like, ooh, let's do a staggered release.
I agree. And if they came out with a new one that was OLED from day one, I may choose to do it, even though I'm not playing it very often. I think a slightly larger screen for me. I did actually pull out my Steam Deck the other day, and I will say, man, that screen is, for me, my eyes are bad. I'm not. It's hard for me to focus sometimes on something that small. So, which is maybe why I don't use my phone as much as you do, Chris. Either like you play some games on your phone, and you're much more akin to like apps on the phone, which I'm not. I'm much more like I want a web browser. I want something on the desktop. But I think, I've seen a Steam Deck OLED, which has a slightly larger screen. So I would be just another inch, right? Just another half inch. It would be hugely beneficial to me, I think. And looking at if they came out with something like that in 2025, I would be very tempted as well. I will be buying a computer in 2025. I don't think that's... Here's the thing. In our notes from last year, it says, is Jason buying a PC next year? Which means in 2024. And I'm pretty sure the answer to that question, you maybe go back and listen. I don't know. I haven't listened to last year's episode, but I bet I said, I'm going to buy a PC next year. And here I am again in 2020, the end of 2024 into 2025 saying, I'm going to buy a PC next year. I'm so sure of it. Like right now, that I'm going to buy a PC next year, that I'm going to say I'm buying a PC in 2025. You will see it in the hardware prices in 2025. But I'm pretty sure I said that last year and it never ended up happening. So who knows for real, but I'm fairly confident that hardware will include a full computer purchase for me next year. In terms of software, I think the trend is going to continue. I think we're going to continue to see a downward trend for me, or at least a stabilization around that $700 to $800 mark. I'm going to try to rein in the World of Warcraft a little bit. I'll probably spend a little bit in Warframe next year because I'm all out of that premium currency. Hopefully by next year, we'll see. Maybe I still have a lot, so who knows? But everything else is pretty consistent. So, I don't think Steam or Humble Bundle is going to go up or down for me. I don't, Microsoft, we may have a couple months of that subscription, but I think I'm going to stabilize. I think I've always said that $1,000 is about where I want to be in terms of software. I think I'm a little low this year, but I think that little low is going to maintain. And I'm going to be closer to that $800 range again next year.
Yeah, I don't know what to look forward to next year. Like, I know that I've got a couple of games that I'm really interested in, like Slay the Spire 2 is coming out next year. Although I probably would buy that on mobile if it comes to mobile kind of day one. I think I'd more buy that on like the iPad before I would buy it on PC. Who knows what they're going to do, but that would be my preference. Which, by the way, we don't count any mobile stuff, which I don't really buy many mobile games. I have Apple Arcade. That's pretty much all my mobile stuff. But just as a side note, we didn't do anything mobile wise. There's also a couple of games, there's whatever that game is, the new It Takes Two game, Split Fiction.
Yeah, that's a day one for me.
You've already got that one, I'm sure. So like that's coming. We know that's coming. I don't know what else AAA is coming out. Is the next WoW expansion next year? No, it's the year after.
No, I think it's the year after.
Okay, good. Then yeah, I mean, I don't know game wise. I'm not sure what's on my list. I think next episode or maybe sometime soon, we're going to talk 2025 expectations. Yeah. So I don't know where I'm going to land on the software front, but it's probably going to be in the same vein. If a Switch 2 comes out and I buy one and then buy a bunch of games for it, then that'll blow that budget, but we'll see. I've got Indiana Jones next year. Indiana Jones on PS5. That's probably going to be $70. That's an easy chunk right there.
Hopefully it's on sale by the time it comes out for PS5. That'd be nice.
You think it's going to come out on sale day one?
No. But it may time right for you. It may time.
That's true. It might. But yeah, who knows? We'll have to see. We'll tune in next year and see how we did.
Okay, well, that wraps up 5th annual video game spending recap. It's been so fun doing these year after year. The tradition. It really is so cool to me. I don't know. Maybe no one else cares as much as I do, but I get this really cool feeling every time we do this show. So, I like going back and listening to the previous episodes. I will probably do that after we, hang up the phone here and finish the recording on this one. I will go back and listen to some previous years. They're really nice to do. I will also probably be listening to what I said last year about what I was looking forward to in 2024, because coming up that episode, we will, again, probably me mostly, have to eat my words about what I was excited for in 2024. I think I was right about a couple things, but I think there were a couple of major misses in there. So look forward to that. If you want to get in contact with us, or if you want to, see those notifications about those free games from the bot in our Discord, you can join our Discord by going to discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to read our show notes, which will include links to our older episodes, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show, this one or anyone in the past, or you think that someone might enjoy some of the episodes that we have coming up, we would love if you could share it with some others that might enjoy it as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
So you bought a 4090. You're not going to buy a 5090?
No, I am going to stick with the 4090 this year. I think that it's still overkill for where I'm sitting at my 1440p gaming. Not even across 3 monitors at this point. I haven't run into a game that I am GPU bound by. I think I might be getting close to CPU binding in a few things, but maybe not. I don't know. Single thread CPU performance is probably going to start catching up on me in the next couple of years. But I think I'm going to stick with my, ridiculously expensive GPU for now, because I think I saw a rumor that like the 50 series is going to be even more expensive.
It is. It's supposed to be even more expensive.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Just no, that's too much.
I'm pretty sure retails on the 5090 are like base retails are going to be around that $2,000 range. And you got yours like during a tough market at that $2,000 range.
I got mine for $1,800. I didn't even get it for $2,000. I got it for cheaper than $2,000.
I think they're going to be expensive. So we'll see.
There was another article that said it was going to be another like 100 watts of TDP as well. So it's going to be like a heater.
Yeah, I've heard 635 like peak watts. So I have found with my 2070 Super that I am GPU limited in some games that I'm playing. Even some games that you wouldn't expect, like Warframe. Like I've had to turn some graphics down in Warframe. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people with some really fancy fashion in Warframe. And they do push the limits in some cases on how many things you have on screen and how detailed and how big the textures are. And, they recently made some really big lighting upgrades and how they do lighting. So yeah, no, I've started to really see, I wouldn't say that like it's super negatively impacted, but I think I've said this a long time ago on the show. Generally, when I have to start setting things to medium settings is when I say, okay, now I need to start thinking about it. And there are certain games now where in certain cases I'm having to set things to medium in order to, stay above 30 frames per second. I like 60, but 30 is really the absolute minimum. And that's starting to happen. So that's why I'm getting pushed so hard, or why I'm pushing myself so hard to look for something new. The CPUs, like you mentioned, though, man, the single thread performance is so fast now. They boost to like 6.0. Like it's just so fast now.
I remember when people were putting like liquid nitrogen on Pentium 4s to get them to go to like 5 gigahertz. And now that's like your phone.
Yes. I mean, like standard boost. I mean, not standard. The top of the line boost clock speeds now are like 6.0 gigahertz, which is like when your WoW add-ons are trying to calculate everything all at once. Like that would be really nice.
Yeah, that would be really good. So I think I'm more likely next year, which not next year, but probably the year after or the year after that, likely to buy a CPU and motherboard and RAM. But I think that at least for now, if trends continue, I will be okay next year.
I think you'll be just fine.
The GPU is good for, I don't know, 8 more years.
You did say that when you bought it, that, it was going to be a very long-term purchase.
Absolutely. It has to be, or else it's just unsustainable.